Passers-by don't even notice the figure on the bench in front of Catholic Charities in Washington, the one by the banner announcing that Pope Francis is coming. But if they did,
they might think it's a real homeless person.
Canadian sculptor Timothy Schmaltz has named the work Homeless Jesus.
Only after they come very close up with it will they notice the wounds here. And that is the way they can identify it as being Christ. So it's a sculpture that is almost like theater.
Like seeing what Pope Francis stands for.
I've sat here myself and contemplated life, you know.
Being acted out.
That's me. And Jesus laying here is a semblance of all the God that we have within us.
Right here, this Thursday, Francis himself will be meeting with the homeless, delivering his own show and tell about what he believes the Catholic Church should be.
Before he became Pope, if you ask the person on the street, what's the Catholic Church? People would say they're against abortion, they're against gay marriage, they're against birth control.
Father Thomas Rees is a senior analyst for the National Catholic Reporter.
Now you go out and you ask people, what do you think Pope Francis is all about? Oh, he's the guy who really cares about the poor. He's concerned about the environment. He wants to preach the love and the compassion of God towards people.
Buonasera.
From the instant the Argentine Jorge Mario Borgloglio walked out on that balcony, March 13th, 2013, he began signaling no more business as usual, starting with his choice to be the first ever Pope Francis, taking the name of a saint who lived in poverty.
Feeling in the square was just very joyful. It was just electric.
Christiana and Paul Gondreau from Johnston, Rhode Island, were in St. Peter's Square that night and again on Easter Sunday with their children, including Dominic, who has cerebral palsy.
During the course of the Mass, there was an usher who had taken notice of Dominic and had just got the idea in his head, that boy is going to meet the Pope. I'm going to get you situated on the route that the Pope-mobile is going to take.
And this is what happened.
My son Lucas says, it's Dominic. Something. I looked up at the Jumbotron. Of course, it was so moving, you know.
What did you do?
Oh, well, I was moved to tears.
He actually took his arm and put it around the Pope's neck.
I can count on my two hands the number of times that's happened in the course of his lifetime.
It felt, for me as a mother, that it was a little kiss directly from God. Just, I know your son is in this crowd, I love him, and he gave him a kiss. That's what it felt like.
On his first visit to the United States, Pope Francis is likely to get a rock star welcome and then some. The vast majority of American Catholics approve of the direction he's leading their church, according to a CBS News poll out this morning. Just this month, he announced that priests can absolve women who've had abortions, and a dramatic simplification of marriage annulment. But some issues remain deeply troubling to American Catholics. According to our CBS News poll, fewer than half approve of the way he's handling the clergy sex abuse scandal. Although compared to his predecessor, Pope Benedict, that's a huge improvement.
There are a lot of things that are from an older generation that just don't make sense to me. And some of the things that are a bit antiquated or honestly unfair, I choose to ignore, if you will.
At 29, Maggie Place is the personification of many young American Catholics, conflicted.
I would fall into that category of a cafeteria Catholic. I have several friends who are gay, and I will likely attend their gay marriages someday.
Maggie is in the choir that will sing for Francis during his outdoor Mass in Philadelphia next Sunday. It concludes the World Meeting of Families, the conference which prompted his visit to the United States. LGBT families have been all but shut out of the event. On the thorny issue of gays in the church, the Pope's "Who am I to judge" comment was a shift in tone.
Slight changes in rhetoric seem like monumental changes in terms of what the Catholic Church is espousing.
For gay lawyer Matthew
like I said, I don't
Patorti
expect
and his
that
parents,
teaching
Cheryl and Francis,
what I do
a
expect-
change in rhetoric is good, but not good enough.
They say everyone's welcome to church, whether you're gay, you're straight. But if you're gay, you cannot be a full Catholic because you cannot get married. And if he said to me, Dad, I have to leave the Catholic Church because they don't accept me, I would say, Matthew, I understand completely.
The Putortis appear on a video pleading acceptance for LGBT Catholics that was hand-delivered to Pope Francis.
Right now I haven't made a decision, so I'm not going to leave during the struggle. That's what faith is. That faith is that hope for something better.
But as for the rest of the Pope's goals,
Do you see any possibility that Pope Francis will permit priests to marry?
I think there's a very good chance.
according to Father Thomas Rees, allowing women to be priests is not on the Pope's reform agenda. What is? Making the Church a more tolerant place. The question is whether this kinder, gentler Francis effect is actually trickling down and putting Catholics back in the pews.
I've talked to people who have been excited by Francis and decided, okay, I'm going to give it another chance. And they went back to their parish and they heard the same old, and they turned around, walked out the door, and they're never coming back. There can be no Francis effect unless, we all get on board with his agenda and his priorities and his style and his spirituality.
Americans seem to like his style very much. Millions of people, Catholic and non-Catholic, are expected to gather just to be near him. The Francis effect? They just want to feel it.